Hi, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, the 15th of May. Can't think of anything exciting that happens on Wednesday, the 15th of May, other than, hi, it's lunch and learn time. So, if you are able to join me live in the Facebook group, because I'm not doing this on Zoom, it's just in the Facebook group, give me a wee hashtag live. And if you're catching up on replay, just give me a wee hashtag replay. If you've not done any of the lunch and learns before, these happen every fortnight. Sometimes I forget. I just forget. And it's normally just 15 minutes or so, sometimes 20, depends how rambly I am that day, of a topic that should mean something to at least some of you or something that's connected to the journey that you're on and whatnot. And today's topic is all about mindset and emotional resilience. So actually was inspired. I was just on with a client just there. And she's had a shit show of a life over the past month. Just health, yeah, just long. I'm not going to go into her details anyway. But she was talking about how she was like she's come through the other side, and she hadn't realized at the time how much better is probably not the word, but how much better she handled all these stressful situations emotionally and mentally than she would have done in the past, because she was like, she'd used it, I can't remember the exact quote. She's like, normally in the past, if I had dealt with these situations, I would have drank my way through it. I'd have just drank the wine for a good day, I'd have drank the wine for a bad day, and etc. So it's just like, and I've not even been bothered. Um, and she was just, I just feel now looking back at that period, that was about a month period. She's like, looking back at that, she's like, I'm actually so proud about how I handled all these different situations. I haven't spent any time wallowing in self-pity. I've been forward thinking. I've been grateful for the things that I can be grateful for, and I've been quite pragmatic about the challenges that I've been having and trying to be um take ownership of what I can take ownership of. And we were just talking about how, like, that is mindset work. That is mindset work. That um one of the things I think that a lot of people assume, and I'm not talking about you guys, but like normal people out there in the normal world, that think mindset is a one and done thing. Like, oh well, I've worked on my mindset by reading a book, or I've worked on my mindset by, I've done journaling once a day, and I've worked on my mindset, um, and I'm done. That's me one and done. And that's not what it is at all. Like, mindset is, working on mindset is a never ending journey. And it has no end. There is no destination. Um, and what I mean by that is, at no point, like, when you truly work on your mindset, you'll never put down the I don't know, I can't think of the word. You'll never put down the imaginary notebook and go, right, well, that's it. I've got a great growth mindset now. That's me done. I don't need to work on it, because that is then you ultimately living in a fixed mindset. And a fixed mindset is where, at a very basic level, a fixed mindset is you believe that you can't change, because that's just the person you are. So, and lots of people in this group say this actually, and I hear it on calls every single week. And I even say it myself as like, well, I'm not like, here's a really good example. I'm not really good at art. That's just the way I am. I don't know if I'm good at art because I've never explored it. And the reason why I've never explored it is because I had a teacher in S2 in second year, so I don't know what that is in England, when you're about 14, who said, you're not very good at art. And I was just like, right, well, I'm not very good at art. And it's just things like that. That's a very fixed mindset about my capabilities as an artist. And you'll maybe say to yourself, well, I'm not very good at math. How do you know not good at math? It's because somebody once told you 30 years ago that you weren't good at math. So that's an example of a fixed mindset. But a growth mindset is where you believe that you've always got the capabilities to make changes, to develop further, to learn more, to be different, to act different, to look different, to um, change your approach to things, change your anything. And that is, a growth mindset. And in every situation, in any situation, you'll be on a scale. Like, so imagine like fixed mindsets here, growth mindset here. Day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, you're going to be on that scale somewhere. You're never always going to just be in a growth mindset. You're never always just going to be fixed. But the more that you work on yourself and your own emotions and your own resilience and your own capabilities, you'll get further up the scale into the growth mindset. And that's not to say that you'll ever not go into fixed. And we do, we go into childlike states, don't we? We're like that. Well, I'm not very good at that. Um, and it's only sometimes you need to take a step back and go, no, I have to challenge myself on that because I can be good on that. Right, this is completely off topic, but this eyebrow is really dark brown in comparison to this one, and it is just the lighting because the lighting's come through the window. I haven't shaded in one eyebrow different. That looks really weird. So when we talk about emotional resilience, which is what this client was talking about, emotional resilience isn't just something that you're born with. Emotional resilience, part of it is how you're raised. So if you are doing any of the one-to-one programs, you will know that we talk about in week 1 limiting beliefs. We know that 80% of our beliefs are decided by us before we're 5, because it's how we were raised, it's what we saw on the TV, it's what our teachers talked about, it's what our parents talked about, grandparents talked about. That forms our intrinsic beliefs, and sometimes they are not true. And whether it's reality or not, it's your reality, and that's the problem. Is how do we change our own reality? And that's partly what emotional resilience is all about. So talking about how do we develop emotional resilience, right? So how do we create emotional resilience where we may have a history of not being very resilient emotionally? Like, and this is a topic that I've been working on a lot in the past 6 months, due to my marriage separation and whatnot. And how do we become the person that is emotionally resilient? And the emotionally resilient person is not somebody that is like the iron lady that doesn't show emotion, that doesn't have empathy, that doesn't care, that doesn't. But emotionally resilient is somebody that knows that they have the confidence that they can overcome whatever life throws at us. And it can be hard work, and it can be easy work, and it can be rewarding work, and sometimes it can feel completely fruitless work. But how do we do it? And actually, just by doing what I tell you, basically. So, we do it by being in a place of gratitude. Like every day in your app, if you're on one of the programs, you get a daily reminder to do 3 bullet points of gratitude, and just sitting with things that are positive, things that you are grateful for that day, even if it is the rain because it feeds the cow to give you the milk for the tea that you're drinking because you really need the tea. You know, I've been trying to get my son to do gratitude with me in the mornings, and I was like, so what are you grateful for today? And he was grateful for the food that he was eating, and I'm like, well, actually, why are you grateful for the food you're eating? I was like, well, not everybody gets to eat breakfast and all that. And there you go, you're starting the day from a place of actually, I've got some good things going on in my life. So gratitude is one way of starting to develop emotional resilience, and it's not going to be you're never going to wake up in the morning and go, I feel so much more emotionally resilient today because of all the gratitude that I've been doing. It's never just a switch like that. It's a slow burner, and it takes practice, and it becomes habit. So even if you're not actively doing your daily gratitude, and we can't see that in the app, like that's a very personal thing to you. We don't want to look. If you're not doing it, please start doing it, because in the long term, in 10, 20, 15 years time, you know, very sadly, we're all of an age where loved ones are going to pass away at some point. Um, that's probably going to be one of the most traumatic times in our life, and being able to implement gratitude now and start building that inner resilience is such a game changer. So if you're not doing your daily gratitude, please start. So that's one way that we can build that emotional resilience. The next one is the visualization and the internal feeling of somebody that is emotionally resilient. So, one example that I can give you is we frequently get ladies as clients who are on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medicine. One of their primary goals is always to come off these medications. So one of the things that we talk about when we do our onboarding calls and we do our coaching calls is very much about, well, when you're visualizing what life is like in the future, like your future self, and if you're not at that stage yet, don't worry. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll get to it. But when we're discovering or deciding or visualizing what our life looks like in the future when we're not on the antidepressants or we're not on the anti-anxieties or we're two dress sizes smaller. What would you be doing if you weren't on the antidepressants? How would you be living your life? So thinking about what does that look and feel like? You know, are you going to be hill walking? Are you going to be paddleboarding? Are you going to be someone that's got a motorhome and just fucks off for a weekend? You know, thinking about all of these things and actually putting them down on paper, not just thinking, going, that'd be nice, and then going, oh, but that's not for people like me, because that's then you go back into that fixed mindset place. But actually trying to connect with that future version and that visualization. And it might be like the house, the type of house that you live in, or the job that you've got, or the family that you're with, or, you know, whatever it is that you desire, actually taken. And you can do this as part of your daily gratitude. Like you can do your 3 bullets and then you can just take 2 minutes and just think, or you can read your future self or whatever floats your boats. Um, and another bit about the emotional resilience is honesty, self honesty. And this is a big one. We talked about this on the call on Tuesday, didn't we? About, you know, deciding whether is it worthwhile to not do your exercise just now because actually you're so exhausted, and is it actually going to benefit you in any way, or is it going to benefit you more than getting a good night's sleep? Or are you just not wanting to do your exercise because you can't be arsed in your exercises? And having this self awareness, and this grows. And there's a really good book. I think it's maybe on my Kindle, and it's by a guy called Jocko something. I'm sure he's a Marine or a Navy SEAL or something, but it's about taking extreme responsibility and extreme ownership for everything in your life, right? Even things that are completely not your fault. Like, actually, is there something that you shoulda, woulda, coulda done at some point that would have changed that outcome? And at some bits of the book's a bit like that. I fuck off, but there is elements of it of going, well, do you know what? I coulda, woulda, shoulda done that. So if that situation were to arise again, I would do X, Y, and Z instead. And taking, like, being very honest with ourselves about, you know, are we just telling ourselves stories? Are we just making up reasons why we can't do something? And I hear this quite a lot on coaching calls when I speak to clients and they say, oh, I'm like, okay, how do we get on with X, Y, and Z? Well, I didn't do Y because of blah, 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 and I didn't do this because I did da, 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 da. But they start recognizing that, like, actually, that's old patterns. That's not my future self talking. That's old version of me talking. So actually, maybe, right, okay, I need to make that happen. And we talk about strategies and how to make certain things happen or how to find the time to do specific things. But it's that level of honesty that is going to create that future resilience and future shift to becoming like a true action taker. So yeah, that's really just one to watch this riff one today is about emotional resilience, mindset, etc., all that kind of jazz. And some of you watching this will just go, whatever, and that's fine. But it is, and this is not quick fix stuff. You know, this is like if you're in your first 90 days, and if you were to stay with us, like we do more around the resilience, the mindset, all that kind of stuff further down the line. We kind of touch the surface to start doing some of the stuffs in the first couple of weeks. But that's the people changing stuff. That's the stuff that changes who you fundamentally are. Not about changing your personality, like you're still going to be batshit crazy, but changing, I suppose, level of self ownership and resilience. So there you go. Right, has that been helpful? You can let me know in the comments. If it's not been helpful, I do apologise. But if it can help one person, then it's quite helpful, I would think. Okay, dokie. So we will see you again tomorrow evening, Thursday evening at 5 o'clock for the Q&A with Hell's Bells. And that's all we've got in the group this week. All right, have an amazing rest of your day, my loves. Have an amazing rest of your week, and I will speak to you soon.